Gizondurzen garajile de bama garaje ma yejuma suzuru numya durden jaza so kandala manana so no mechi jinji borone du ranze jogoma zundu zabaza bi jalo so wa de ta samba gyachewa changju sunji kulong tang tab gyachewa sang nga ki kulong ki samba shu ta tela ani ngandro di ta chidangi ta ngandro nyamnen shige doji yimbaina 아니 쇼가 니 채와당 아니 남상 말이 니도 스나니 상제체 근데 마마인당 칸도 사반도 그렇다 마바 그렇다 제기 아니 송다게 나기로양 대적이 아니 아마리 비니레 바 채송 사바지 쇼가야 담보 니 세비가도 지나시기 삼바지 이거래 대야 마리 니도 서와다 아니 남상 바 상제도라 바디 다 로고 메나 남자마르기 독대 스타바다는 노로디 사 니마 드링들랑에게 내가 예수님 돈에 가지 툭툭지기 돈에 봐 내가 예수님 담이치다 건고 삼박에 되지 그런 바라 다니 등아주 상제를 줘야 돼 아마 내가 시는 살아다 아니 순독립 당아랑서 다 당보디 발제 무주에 체도 아니 랑게 자빌라마당 안 구루르 예수네 발라 안 소와타도 답 안투이세 카르지 냠바라샤 디기 제라 나랑도 달로도 넘바 시디 지데 야마타와 아니 마카리 카리 나마 숭도거와 다 데데가도 당랑도 로도 넘바 디기 다 가상 시원한 신기 다 당보디 탄절 녀벌까와 디 아니 메콤비 네게 레 타르와텔라 아니 타르와 게당 아니 딜레랑 저런가당 셴저nga 된다면 되기 아니 단조지 밀리 부숨 속반디 아니 신도 내가 예발까고 배차잖아 아니 그냥 송숨니 아니 사치보기 눈도 아니 미당 산이 빼 미스박이 당연용지 차대야래 디나네야 아니 미세디 지다 밀리 나네야 안 단절 비순 소배미 리버 체디 저서 버린 딩가라 장가 뉴뉴 장가 좀나 장 제베도 제래 나냐와당 이다 저조딩 안하고 뇌순도 미기 통투게 말 고두로와 이나양다 저는 뇌순 통화기 티로저지 나양 아니 사 강라 내제비 아니 다 진로 추노나 내베 무슨 장당 장 매바 아니 락팅 잠지기 사드나야 아니 점블링 남기 밀리양 뭐가 되어 저게 되니 미기 통화 담아도 장면 받대 지리 파 지원돼서 아니 사다 미세디 미스바가 뉴뉴 지나야 아니 단절 구선 좀 달와 계단 주가 주대비기 밀리진보 체디 신도내냐 예발가와 그래 타이나양 소속이 생엄하기 수남기 전에 단절기 밀리데 톱차례 다 톱차례디 리덴 디기 통에 다 타르와당 탐지 김비 공방직 랍주나 체들라 들어와서 이거만 두바다 가시 마누나야 람기 네 서바 잠지기 리덴 디기 통에 아니 다 안조지 뭐좀나 아니 친에 아니 같은 하신게 단절 밀리기디 톱 투에디 아니 가라카보 송장 단절 진앙신게 단절 디기 밀린 디기 통에 아니 타라당 탐제기 공방 루밤 람기 네 서바지 시와체발라 다 캡바라 제지라 파 나타나 랑도끼니 아니 크루비네라 파 간투 마르와 대체상 아니 캡대양 아니 겐겐세 연된 겐된 크루반델레디 타데교기 아니 강사 캡바라 제지 만도다 캡투 마르 되니 아니 상제 코나 약식면도 상당히 요마레 다 상제 디기 아니 가랑 졸라 공기 투기나 가세 똑똑 대와기 아니 담비체디 가랑 저와치 목수데디 담비체 남도 베데베 아니 파베겐디 디가나 아니 실랍지 자와 라마 인담 기카는 거듭지 자와 인담 칠레지 자와 파우크로스다 탐젤라 로데링 주르기 통내 아니 단절디 추세 모종도 가랑 저바 캡로디 가상 디디지바 다 슈차르와.
First, please bring to mind the expansive motivation of Bodhicitta, along with the vast method of the secret mantra. Now, when practicing the Ngöndro, the preliminary practices, right when we wake up in the morning, we should do the practice of waking from the ignorance of sleep. Visualizing the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, the Lama, Yidam, and Dakinis, all and in particular Guru Rinpoche, along with all the lineage and root masters in the sky before us. We think by their melodious language of symbolic mantra, they wake us up from the sleep of dualistic ignorance. After that, if necessary, you can visit the restroom, whatever you need to do, and then continue with your main practice. Sit down and then exhale the stale breath. Then we should set a pure motivation, thinking that today, with our body, speech, and mind, I will diligently practice the Dharma. Next, to dispel any obstacles to our practice, visualize our teacher above our heads, imagining that they are indistinguishable from Guru Rinpoche. Similarly, supplicating their blessings, the Guru's wisdom mind dissolves into our own, and we rest in that for some time. After that, slowly recite the liturgy for the 4 thoughts that turn the mind away from samsara, being sure to clearly grasp the meaning of what is being said. As we talked about previously, first we contemplate the freedoms and advantages of the precious human birth. Free of the 8 various types of suffering and having met with the 5 personal and 5 external adventitious circumstances, we have attained a perfect human body. Such a birth is extremely hard to obtain. For example, the number of beings in the 3 lower realms is comparable to all the particles of sand in a great plain, and in comparison, the number of gods and humans are extremely few. Even more so, the number of humans endowed with these 18 freedoms and advantages are, in comparison, incredibly rare. While hell beings and hungry ghosts are invisible to most human beings, think of the sheer masses of animals in the world that can be seen by us. Just a handful of earth can easily contain enough organisms to match the number of humans on the planet. So with that, we should contemplate the various numbers of visible and invisible beings in samsara, and how exceedingly rare a godly or human birth truly is. And then consider that the even more rare occasion of being born with all 18 freedoms and advantages. But despite its rarity, we have accumulated vast amounts of merit in our past lives, and have attained this precious human form. And having attained this form, in the best case scenario, we have the opportunity in this very lifetime to attain liberation and the complete omniscience of enlightenment. Even if not able to in this lifetime, based on this precious human form, we can enter into the path to complete awakening. As attaining such a form in the future is exceedingly rare and difficult, attaining awakening, or at least inalterably entering the path to omniscience while we now have this precious form, is essential and requires we take refuge in a supreme source of protection. We ourselves do not have the methods yet to free ourselves from samsara. Therefore, we must rely on a source of refuge free from all faults and endowed with all excellent qualities, who have themselves been liberated from samsara. Such a source of refuge is solely the Buddha. What the Buddha has realized, the Buddha teaches with compassion to beings in the form of the sublime Dharma, and the path is then embodied in the noble Sangha. Furthermore, the root of blessings is the Lama. The root of all accomplishments or siddhis is the Yidam, and the root of enlightened activity are the Dharma protectors and Dakinis. Therefore, to contemplate the precious human birth goes hand in hand with taking refuge, as we discussed in the previous teaching.
미탁비 왕도 도들이 미탁비 왕도 도들이 그래서는 아주 지당 미탁 바레스나 망치기다 하고 바래 그래서 뒤도나 yar가긴가 뒤시기 줄바래 아니 나도 이위 타만이 니마지 시도그리 신상 하고 그래데 이나 타와기 미탁바디 망치 고마초바 깨지까지 디파미즈 조도 바래 지다 탐제 아니다 미탁바기 기군니 아니 녀르도 요포 아니 타리빌 남지 싸와 캡스토와 아니 탐지 템빌 남지 잉보디 아니다 예 들레 촉도 주바직다 야마 디저라 미탁바기 기군니 단단해 하는 거라서 봐 타치어 두고라 대주바 쳐발라 아니 당보 데이터 디랑하시는 것도 미답바디 기라 군니 다 탐지 김빌람지 시디 강라스나 창주초도 셈게바스 창주초도 셈게스 다 셈게바텔라 아니 멤버 셈게 속사 죽바 셈게스니 리바 숨룩샤 다 셈게스기 다 조디 셈게스기 유지 거래 유디 아니 셈제레 셈제 메나 아니 셈게스기 만한 유디 요마레 근데 매장 아니 나랑도 남기 가르쳐 아니 심지기 캡데레 심지기 가르쳐 내가 니몽바 캡데레 저다 탐제 아니 랑기 서랍 토마 메바네 파마 마저바니 심지 직경이야 말해 당가랑도 리덴디 안 토마도 지다 파마니라 데니 리덴도 그래데 토마도 샹나 디그레데 나 심기 긴들라 토마 메바 네 단다바도 토마가 다 토마야 말아 단다바도 아니 코르빈들라 네 캬몽도 잡아 다 냐와라 소바게 지 카시아지마도 망 첸이다 아바다 아말라 되는 거는 기원을 거래 아바다 아말라 되는 기원은 그것도 단데 세득이 다 파마기 다 당보 아말라 베샤샤나 나와 굴하우스지 안 코바나 그르디네 마이에스 디네 아바 아마게 디네 진 컨디션이 티바 양도 되나 신기 아니 가게 있으면 탐 지역이 저라 통마면 된다 봐도데 아마면 저번에 지야 말해 다 아마 맞아버지는 남기 가르자고 있으면 탐지 아마 맞아버 직담에다 대다 탐제 아니 내와니 되게래 내와니스나 내와 되게래 이나야 내와 되나야 대위 유디 개와디 룹시기야 말이다 둥아니 되게야 말해 이나 둥아 메드나야 아니 둥아기 유구나 말이나 아니 소속의 상바티다 라레니디 다 고도니 치유도 소서다 탐제 닝레제 저다 탐제 아니 그룹이 둥아들래 나게 단 삼바게 트레신의 삼바 창조초도 다 셈겨버려 다 디앙 컨디션이다 니지 공부스나 다다랑기다 파마디 탐보 섬나 샤니 아니 단 나왕구 사드지 코바나 그루 되네 마게 되네 아마다 둥아 컨디션 보고치도 깔아가리다 탐제 아니 사라토마메 바네 심제 탐제 파마메 저다 탐제게 두두 아니 바닝제 요금 니조금 되고도 다 탐제기 빼샤샤바이나 다 등상기 티젤라 아니 나랑 저기 소속이 내내 다 뒤저기 수보라 차단기 다 동아도 충분히 장 세두게 말해대 아 딘도저로 배샤샤와이나 아니 마시발라 셈볼라 멜라스게다 셈볼라 빠바슈엘라 소바 되게 동아 빠도 매바지 되다 잠자라 아니 동아 예도 삼바기 나도 소만 자와니야 말해 소속이 아니 수보라 차단기 아니 동아 충중 담지기야 메세 신도 신선제 다탐자라 전낭신기 하나속이 저와체디 아니 신도 내장 아니 양하오래 옛나양 다다 디기 심제디 섭탄다 세디기 하나도 다 파마 맨나양 아니 책나마 네 하나도 파마 체레 대디 파마다 개발해 말해 저다 탐제기 아니다 농아디 다 털와진 게차 서바기 당보딜라다 심제들라 멤버 심제 속사
With that, we are also under the power of ever-changing impermanence. Most of us understand that things are impermanent on a coarse level. We understand that seasons pass and that eventually one day we will face our death. What we don't fully comprehend is the more subtle type of impermanence, the dwindling moment-by-moment exhaustion of our little remaining time alive. By recognizing this fact of impermanence, we understand that we must quickly and without hesitation take refuge in the supreme root of the path to liberation and generate the essential foundation of the omniscient path, which is supreme bodhicitta. Bodhicitta can be divided into three stages: aspiration bodhicitta, the accumulation of merit, and application bodhicitta. The object of bodhicitta is others, sentient beings. Without others, without sentient beings, there is no cause for the arising of bodhicitta. It is said that as far as space pervades, beings pervade. Wherever beings pervade, karma and afflictions pervade. Over the course of beginningless time, not a single being has not been our own mother. While it can be said that we have only one mother and father of this life, those who brought about this particular birth, our mental continuum does not have a beginning, but reaching back countless lifetimes has wandered in samsara, taking immeasurable births. While in some realms, like in the hells, womb birth is unnecessary, consider the process of gestation and birth seen in the human realm. our mother for 9 months held us within her womb, and following our birth, she cared for us and raised us. Similarly, every infinite being pervades space without exception, and they have served as our mother over countless lifetimes. Each one of our mothers, therefore, are exactly the same in wishing for our well-being and happiness. And each one of our mothers, therefore, are exactly the same in wishing for their own happiness and well-being. Yet despite only wanting to be happy, they are mistaken as to what the true source of happiness is, that being virtuous and skillful deeds and the way to accomplish them. Similarly, none want to suffer, yet while not wanting to suffer, only act in unskillful and non-virtuous ways that inevitably lead to suffering. Confused and mistaken as to what brings happiness and ends suffering, we generate heartfelt compassion for these infinite beings and generate bodhicitta, thinking, I will lead these beings away from this suffering. We generate compassion by recalling our own mother's kindness and in extension the kindness of each and every infinite being throughout beginningless time, as she held us within her womb for 9 months, and who, after brought us into this world, toiled and cared for us tirelessly. When developing compassion, consider how difficult it is to bear with only a small amount of one's own physical discomfort. Then consider the incomparable pain that some animals experience, being slaughtered, skinned alive, and so on. For some of us, we can guess that such beings are in some amount of pain, but we should train in acknowledging the unimaginable suffering they must be experiencing by recognizing that even a little pain for ourselves is unbearable. By doing this, love and compassion for others can increase. While such beings may not be our mothers and fathers of this life, they have been within countless previous lifetimes. Therefore, what is the difference? By contemplating in this way, compassion arises.
다 담보 멤버 섬지 디 그래서는 다 뒤숨지 상자 탐 시기 안타진 것도 속신과 겹로가도 속신과 속신 들어가래 속신디 광고 수도 샤니 아니 뒤숨지 상자 탐 시기 아니 담보 창조 초도 셈기바 대나신기 내게양 남과 다니면 심지 탐 시기 등도 운석부 상자 주고 봐지 토바라 차 상바기 그런 창조 셈기바디 담보 멤버 섬지에서 다 멤버스임지로와 다디 멤버스임지디 다 대다 탐제 아니 당가기다 상계지 공부하라 깨투비기 니바당 오바디 타당가랑도라 야마레 내상 당가랑도 나래 촉사거래 촉사 다디마 지드가도 다디 소신디 방법을 준도 샤마를 소신이와 소신의 방법 준도 샤운데 그다바 디 호응이 되어서 단전남지 남의 창조 촉도 두께 따라 나자마주 간염로게나 판달에도 상계도 버라키 호스나 원사를 직 항상 직도와 인지 열와 상계 세셔지도 제지 아니 가jap디 심지 탐지기 텐도 남의 창조 촉도 셈게바 대낭신기 내게야 남과다니면 심지 탐지기 텐도 아니 조베스한테 공부 토바른 지우 삼바기 다 멤버스임지 뒤로와 다디 멤버스임지 뒤제 다디 가랑조 다디 멤버스임지 다디라나 단다 멤버스임지 내내야 다 탐지 아니 그리 동안래 단투 얘기 니와다 보바데 다이라 매장 되는 지기 제들라 다 속사버려 속사들까도 가랑조 지승도들라 라시 심지도 주고 숨 비와 차선지 집이 남장 좁아서 빅빅이 숨도 주배 당가랑도 담고 속사들라 엄마 공시 렌즈배마주나 라소비 주주자비나 차차로 다들가도 아니 렌지기 소신들라 아니 랑기 리디 탕메바도 자탐자 카자지 습지 탐제랑 집어지네 아니 구숨 기와 치먹고네 아니 소신지다 삼자들라 리신기 두니에도 두니 아니 바 차살 Dingosu Jordan Ile Chungwai, Gisanchitinga, Kangache, Snotabo, the Chasavilla, Nivati, Chapapu Yala. Ani Naranzo, Nusu Jorwaki, Naranzo, Nila, Shamshaju, Chebare, Ani Choju, Singram Jamna, Shubaki, Ladan, Migi Yunagi, Chipping over Kanzi was the Loy Lang. Digangla, and the Papa into Sambogi, Ani Chebatartu, Karesati, Chipping, Paudumeba. Ya namgi 타다냐바 디 남가 시스바도 로비 타마동 바지도 응아데 치치비티 바도면 바지파 비산치비 남가 칸와체스.
The three stages are again aspirational bodhicitta, the accumulation of merit, and applicational bodhicitta. First is aspirational bodhicitta. Just as we visualized in refuge, imagine that the refuge trees surrounded by the Buddhas of the three times are in front of us. Imagine that they are present as your witness as you generate the bodhicitta of aspiration, thinking, just as all the Buddhas of the three times first gave to bodhicitta, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, will attain perfect enlightenment. This is the bodhicitta of aspiration. With that, we recognize that in order to have the power and fortitude to attain awakening, we must first accumulate vast merit. Visualizing the refuge tree as our witness, from the arousing bodhicitta liturgy recite the vow, Ho, just as the victors and their heirs of the past aroused the mind of unsurpassable supreme enlightenment. In order to benefit myself and all mother beings equal to space, I will accomplish enlightenment. Ho, in this case, is an exclamation of amazement and awe, thinking of all the previous Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who have attained awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings, and now we ourselves are determining to attain perfect enlightenment for the very same purpose. This is aspiration bodhicitta, and to gain the power to overcome and overturn the suffering of samsara, we must first amass great merit. The liturgy states, recite the following while combining it with the respective visualizations of oneself and all other sentient beings, prostrating respectively with the three doors, emanating out boundless clouds of offerings, etc. This is for the purpose of gathering the accumulations. Further stating in the liturgy, Om Ah Hong Shri, to Vidyadhara, Padmasambhava, and so on, all refuge objects in the 10 directions, homage. Visualizing ourselves before the refuge tree, we emanate countless versions of ourselves along with all sentient beings, and with our three doors, and in particular by means of our physical form, we offer prostrations. This is the branch of offering. Of offering prostrations. The branch of making offerings is second. The liturgy states, I present you with Samantabhadra's offering clouds of material and imagined offerings filling the sky. On our altar we should arrange actual offerings by imagining worldly and divine realms throughout the 10 directions full of any and all possible offerings, make visualized offerings, and on top of that imagine the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra's inconceivable offerings filling the limits of immeasurable space.
Tadi jedala da nibadi dirwa subadi dipashapadi ani sotara changju simbe la badang ringzingage tamjing nyam sha la de gadu ngarangzo chara thoma mebane tanda khurwi ne tela sunge zo de digdibre chi sotargi dombadang garwa ani nang changju simbe la badang garwa sangwa ringzingage tamjing dang garwa jetang ani ngarang sosoge linga isumgi konne 아니 정말 매번에 산다버도 스타벅이 탐제 논제 타복 거네 바다 토로샤 스타벅이 되게 통네 아니 느르등하게 탐지 냠자 샤선다 숨바데샤 다 시와디 제수이로 파당 소소케고 손남기 야세 쳬바절라 지랑 아니 파파 스나 상게당 저주스바 탐지다 탐제기 아니 토마 장주 쪽도 셈게 바르도 가와 타면서 소사 타마 심지기 대강라 강도 잘라 아니 나 가신 비위에 권에 지수이랑세 아니 나랑도 소소 계곡이 타르와 차딘다 수놈 차딘기 기위서와 강도 강다 탐제 라 능라니 가와 기도네 아니 지수이랑와 숨바 대체데 나와디 타양로와 눈가 줄와라 평바치다르선데 지역으로 쓰도와 디 배차잖아 나자기 덤바 상제 좀 된데 Norwegian Dindu, number of Sang Jenny, Sha Dinda Dindu, Che Mosum should be Titilla, and Leon Jajin and Sambatan, so much penny, and it up, Che Tanyumla, Mashu, Sanjet Namjiki Tindu, and Chichukulu Porto, so up the Jedala, and Sanjeki, you are under Suda, and it up Chichukulu Kurva, or Tenan Singi. Lama Givi Senior, Chujuring Shingram Jamna Shubiki, Lama Givi Senior Sanjashin, Chemasumbi, Tanyum Mala, she was Zeki Dindu, Rangi, Jiri, Patuni, Sambatan, Jajing, Sanjajum Delta, Chichukolo, Korwa, Soa Tapa, Nangasingi, Choju Shingram Jamna Shubaki, Lama Givi Senior, Sanjata, Jala, Sanjatam Jeki, Tendu, Nagapta, Tartuki, Tendu, Chitu, and Chichukolo Porto, Soa Tapacha. Takalwa Chivasame Chinendo, Rovetin Yangamita, shoes, Natati Tupati, Yangalamita, which was ora. Around to Pesha Shawana, Lamado Kivishin the Chachana, around to Manda, Anuku, Sung took them on Pujia Pang Digni, Lamacharan, Tai Guzerimbo, Shurochi, Yobo Gombalam, Gombamazo, and Sanjatam Jekitindu, and it was the Yingotion of Neshuks Pugiwa. That's the Chipare, that shows Shingram Jana Shubiki, Yangele, Devara, shaking to Tam Jella, they Sanjatam Jekitindu, and Gawa Chisipatu, Yangala, Mitawa, and Kuso Shishua, Soa Tabatella, Yangala Mita, which was Odora, she was riveting Yangamita shoes. Dagi, the Sum Sapin Gawana, Rogan Chanju, for top chick walls, and that Gondu, Suzuki, Capsu Drova, Sem Kepala Soba, Kivizawa. Oh, Namagawa, and Tanda give us up Shiba, Mombal and give us all Jet, and Nongadani, the Sinja Tamje, Nagaptan Tartuki, and Sanja Jukumba over Chitu, and Pa Gezati, and Chanju Pa, Oma Dijani, and Nanazo, Didang, Japni, Nozani, Choks out the charter with Chasawa, Undi, and members in Jetala, Nishagiwa, members in Jetan, Choks out the Manisha, Choks out the charter.
Third is the branch of confession of negativities. I confess my downfalls and breaches of the Pratimoksha, Bodhisattva trainings, and Vijaydhara Tantric Samayas. From beginningless time we have wandered in samsara, due to the accumulation of negativities and obscurations. Outwardly we have broken the vows of self-liberation. Inwardly we have transgressed the Bodhisattva vows, and secretly we have breached the Samayas of the secret mantra. Through body, speech, and mind, we have accumulated great amounts of such negativities. So now, with intense sincerity, acknowledge and confess all negativities. The fourth is the branch of rejoicing. I rejoice in the Bodhisattva deeds of all noble and ordinary beings. In the beginning, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas generated the mind of Supreme Bodhicitta, then for 3 incalculable eons accumulated great merit, and then engaged in the benefit of beings in any way necessary. In such incredible virtue we should rejoice. Also we rejoice in the virtue of all ordinary sentient beings, any and all causes and conditions of liberation, all roots of virtue. The fifth branch, is requesting the wheel of Dharma to be turned. To benefit the infinite suffering sentient beings, requesting the wheel of Dharma to be turned. Please request the wheel of Dharma accordingly. To benefit the infinite suffering sentient beings, please turn the wheel of Dharma accordingly. Take, for example, our teacher Shakyamuni Buddha, who having attained perfect awakening in Bodh Gaya sat in unmoving meditation for 49 days. At that time the worldly gods, including Brahma, Vishnu, and so on, came and requested that the Buddha not remain passive in his wisdom, but benefit all beings by turning the wheel of Dharma. Accepting the request, the Buddha traveled to Varanasi and turned the first wheel of Dharma. Similarly, we request our own teachers and virtuous guides, along with all the root and lineage masters, to turn the wheel of Dharma. Visualizing all the masters and awakened beings throughout the pure realms of the 10 directions, request that they continuously turn the wheel of Dharma for the temporary and ultimate benefit of all sentient beings. The sixth branch is requesting the awakened beings to not pass into nirvana. For as many countless millions of eons as there are, for the sake of beings, do not pass into nirvana but remain. Similar to when we request that our own teachers have long lives and remain for many years to come by offering mandalas, supports of body, speech, and mind, statues, images, etc. We request that all the awakened beings not pass into nirvana, but remain present to benefit beings until samsara is emptied. The seventh branch is dedication. The virtue I accumulated in the 3 times I dedicate so all beings may attain true enlightenment. All of the roots of merit and virtue accumulated by taking refuge, the generation of the mind of Bodhicitta, etc., including all the virtue accumulated in the past and to be accumulated in the future, rededicate for the benefit of all infinite beings, that they gain unsurpassable awakening. So having generated the mind of aspirational bodhicitta, we accumulate vast amounts of merit through these 7 branches. While reciting the liturgy for the 7 branches, as it states, prostrate respectively with the 3 doors. So during this time we offer prostrations, by emanating countless versions of ourselves, joined by all sentient beings surrounding us. Standing, we bring our hands to our head, bring our hands to our heart, visualizing before us the refuge tree and recollect the infinite, excellent qualities the objects of refuge embody. Bringing our hands to the crowns of our heads, dispel all negativities. By bringing our hands to the crowns of our heads, we dispel all negativities associated with our physical bodies. Then we bring our hands to our throat, dispelling all negativities associated with our speech. Next, we bring our hands to our heart, dispelling all negativities associated with our mind. Then placing all 5 limbs, head, hands, and knees on the ground before the objects of refuge, all negativities in unison are simultaneously dispelled. Then standing back up, we imagine all the qualities of the objects of refuge are born within our body, speech, and mind.
dewa tamba zda ti tamja kudu ani mitawa ki ani gawa tseme ani ndadang nyendang korda tamje nyamba nyiki tendaru tendama neru di ani chishindu ani lokbagi ani tamje lo soridang trawa gyasayji jeba labachaldi dibadang chebeki ani 당님 그래디 당님 체면 자로 대신에 아니다 체면 시도 주고서 이제 되시죠.
After that is the generation of applicational bodhicitta. While aspirational bodhicitta is merely the thought with which aspires to awaken for the benefit of all beings, aspirational bodhicitta is the actual application of our physical and verbal actions to bring about the fruition, the benefit of all sentient beings. For example, imagine that we want to reach some far-off land. First, we need to have the wish to reach that place, and then the actual journey taken is likened to applicational bodhicitta. The liturgy for training in applicational bodhicitta states loving kindness, giving one's own happiness and well-being to others, compassion, taking on oneself the suffering of others, joy, the wish that they are never parted from those states of happiness and well-being and freedom from suffering, and equanimity, the complete equality filled with these qualities and free of bias, wishing to train in the vast conduct of bodhisattvas, recite the following. Through this merit may all beings have happiness. May they be free of suffering. May it ripen on me. Never parted from the happiness of being free of suffering, may they abide in equanimity, the equality of all things. When it says, through this merit, by the power of all of the merit accumulated through taking refuge in jittering, bodhicitta, the 7 branches, etc., and without an ounce of stinginess, we dedicate it to all sentient beings. Giving all of the causes from happiness to others, we develop limitless loving kindness. We take into ourselves all the causes and results of non-virtue and suffering, of others developing limitless compassion. And we develop limitless joy, aspiring that all sentient beings are never separated from the supreme happiness devoid of suffering. And then aspiring that all beings reach the realization of equality, free from the extremes of friend and foe, samsara and nirvana, we develop limitless equanimity.
다 디기 제달라 당아랑조 디치고래 다 캡수도 셈게 소사 주바 담제 제제도 안랑 소싱디 추동으로 소싱 탐제 슈랑라 팀동 그룹이 동아 안직라 타러와 주루 삼아가도 아니 지다 탐제 소싱 다지고 소싱 검대와 지다 탐제 아니 위기 그룹 좀 버쳐라 투팀 우르 좀 버치 어두시네랑이라 팀니 아니 디갑 가려 공고라스나 아니 소싱기 사조스다 탐제 tuk기나 슈대백이 된담 장주 시스템디 장시 심제 탐제기 길라 사케 계속 상바로지 초진은 들어와 초진의 때와에나 나랑도 아니 소싱기 아니 나 슈비 투기 투 넘버 문도비 이시디당 아랑 쪽이 심기 내루 뭐랑시 투지 숨된지 뭐데 텔라 아니 예와 메바르다도 아니 나랑도 상하게 좀 많이 바기지도 아주 딩알라 샤야더라 주 소신담제 유슈랑라디 그룹이 등하지라 타바기로 소시탐자랑니 아샤순제 탐자라 타 뒤니 타라 아니 코르비 내 똥송 선바지 랍 중나니 소송가마기다 라마게 위신이 딘데기 진딜라 아니 심지당 딘데기 토바기 강사지 이나 아니 소신기 아니 투 넘버미 또 이시디당 랑기 스팀기 뭐 내루디 아니 예르 메바타도 타르치 출라 추샤바도 냠바라 샤 같이 딘데기다 지 마셔바이나야 디니 코르비네 똥송 선바라지가 소신다 탐지기 투견의 시비 된담 창주 시스템디 스님하셔서 탐지기 길라 깨니 타라탄 탐제 아니 코르비네 똥송 선바라지 딘데지바 다 심기 고르디 멤버당 속사당 주바다 좀 숨시하기 와
Then, having taken refuge, generated aspirational bodhicitta, accumulated vast merit, and generated applicational bodhicitta, the refuge tree dissolves into ourselves. The objects of refuge dissolve into light, representing the freedom from the fear of samsara. All the surrounding objects of refuge dissolve into Guru Rinpoche in the center of the tree. Guru Rinpoche then dissolves into light and dissolves into ourself. We then think that all the realization embodied in the objects of refuge arise in ourselves, and all sentient beings as the wisdom of ultimate bodhicitta. The non-conceptual wisdom embodied in the enlightened minds of the objects of refuge is recognized as the nature of our own mind, as the empty essence, cognizant nature, and manifold capacity of enlightened compassion. Our own mind and the wisdom of this realization mingle indistinguishably. And we come the non-conceptual wisdom embodied in the enlightened minds of the objects of refuge is recognized as the nature of our own mind, as the empty essence, cognizant nature, and manifold capacity of enlightened compassion. Our own mind and the wisdom of this realization mingle indistinguishably, and we come to the extraordinary meaning of secret mantra. The liturgy states, the entire field of accumulation melts into light and dissolves into me. I am free from the fear. The entire field of accumulation melts into light and dissolves into me, and I am free from the fear of samsara's suffering. Here we imagine that we are completely free from samsaric experience, and best is to recognize what has been pointed out by one's own teacher, mingling indistinguishably with that realization, like water poured into water. If one has not received such instructions, then imagine that one has cast aside all samsaric reality, and by dissolving the objects of refuge into oneself, the realization of ultimate bodhicitta is born within our own minds, bringing about the reality of nirvana, devoid of all samsaric existence.
Tendo songjang ta ngarang zo semje sage yu di simje se di sangje da simje ni ge kebare de garasna changju ji sim sheji zogbe sangje di da dor da dire sangje se di 당보라는 구르는 뭐 첼라 소바 temba shakya tubala sowa ta tamje 당보라는 sangje marwa 당보 ngarang to dan danda da 샤오 de ga du ani khona ba 아니 창조 쪽도 셈게 참바다 녀제기 통네 셰기 텐코나 dum니 아니 넘버조베 상게 송레 마랑소 아니 랑된장 dum니 단다바도 코르와 캬ම්송레 다 도르드나 테케바르 딘르섬 저리다 랑된 짱파 알라 삼로 땅와당 셴데 코나라 두바니기 캬바르디 사상게 땅 심제 이와 딘르스니 셰송레 디 대차자 아니 셈지디 지당기 땅아랑소베 미세바기 딕바타야라 에나레 속사야라 에나레 카네나양 아니페 미세바기디 심제세디 카네침버치 틴데스 제 안도잠지 틴데스.
In the beginning, the Buddha Shakyamuni and Guru Rinpoche, all the Buddhas, were not awakened beings, but were like ourselves. They first generated compassion and love, and gave rise to supreme bodhicitta, and then engaged in the benefit of others, and through that attained perfect awakening. As for ourselves, we have wandered aimlessly throughout samsaric existence. It is simply this that distinguishes Buddhas from sentient beings. Only thinking of ourselves, we remain in samsara, and only thinking of others, the Buddhas are born. It is this that distinguishes Buddhas from beings. As the supreme method for accumulating vast merit and dispelling vast amounts of obscurations and negativities, bodhicitta is extremely important. This concludes a brief summary on the mind of awakening, bodhicitta.
장조 심조 림바제 마제 바나 제주르제 gemba nyamba me konda gondo pelo wara sho